Are we done itching?
Hi, we're OutGhosted, we're fleas!
Hi, Sheri and Rob from OutGhosted. We have some Irish folklore creatures to tell you about today, but we're not going to do leprechauns. That's way too obvious. You know, short guy, green suit, pot of gold.
Orange stars, yellow moons, Warwick Davis. You know the drill.
Go ahead, you go.
No,
you.
I was right. No, you were right.
I'm right?
You were right.
I was supposed to go.
Uh-huh.
So, but before we get into it, we do have to answer a comment from a viewer on our Gettysburg video. We had caught some heat signatures while we were out there, and she had mentioned that the possibility of how that could have happened were from either mice or birds' nests.
So we contacted our good friend Matt from Fix Image, link in the description down below, if he can go out there and maybe snoop around and see if he can debunk what was going on. So, take it away, Matt.
Hey guys, it's Fixed Image. I'm here at the Sachs Covered Bridge in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, considered by many to be one of the most haunted covered bridges in the United States and possibly the world. I'm here today on a mission for the YouTube channel OutGhosted. OutGhosted made a video here on this bridge a few months ago where they captured heat signatures on the bridge. And there was a great question left in one of the comments of their video. Karen asked, could those heat signatures possibly be from aminal nesting under the bridge? Mice, birds, anything, etc.? Well, I'm going to check it out today and see what I can find. Now, obviously, I'm on the bridge right now. And these are some very thick timbers here. Now, I noticed instantly that between the beams, there's a lot of debris, leaves, all sorts of stuff down here. It's all dry, sand, dirt, leaves. There could have been some type of nest in between here, but obviously it's not big enough to hold mice really or birds to build a nest. Now, let's go look underneath the bridge though. But we're going to go see how well we can see under the bridge and see if we can see any types of signs of nesting. The video was filmed here in the fall of 2020. It's now March 2021. So seasons change, and as seasons change, you know, cycles change of nests and stuff. So we might not be able to see anything that might have been there at the time. But this is as close as I can get to the edge of the water here without getting myself soaking wet. And really, I don't see any signs of nesting down here. There are beams down here though. What shows there can be nests here, obviously, at times when it's the season. But I don't see any signs of anything right now. Anything that was here is gone now. So, to answer that question, Karen, we can't say with 100% certainty that there wasn't a nest here at the time. But as of today, March 2021, there is nothing on the bottom of this bridge. As I showed you on the bridge though, in between the timbers, there is a lot of dry debris there that built up over time from wind and from weather. So there you go. I hope that helped answer the question a little bit. Until next time, this is Fixed Image saying peace.
Matt, that was great. Thanks for going on an OutGhosted mission for us. But the next time, bring a wetsuit.
We'd also like to give a big shout out to Nell's Crypt.
She's a very lovely lady who has a way of telling stories about the dark and the creepy. So go support her channel, and when you do, get ready to grab a drink, dim the lights, and she'll get to it.
Show her some love. Link is down in the description below.
I'm going to start off with a changeling.
What is a changeling?
A changeling is a disguised fairy that is put in the place of a healthy human child, stolen by another group of fairies. Did you get that?
Sort of.
But not to get too wordy on where these fairies came from. They are called the good people, and they were actually forced to live underground for all eternity. So they're a little steamed. So this may cause a fairy or a good person to steal a human child. They're jealous, and it's out of spite. Not so pretty looking, these fairies, So human babies look a lot more beautiful than they do. And sometimes these humans will be used in the fairy world as servants, as mates for other fairies, and at times stolen to be a mate for the queen herself. So you can imagine how freaked out parents might have been back then to suspect their child of being a changeling. Now what they would do to try to ward off these fairies is, as soon as the baby is born, they won't say how beautiful they think they are and how special they are. They also might just spit on the baby as a way to trick the fairy into thinking they're not worth it enough to come and steal.
So not only is an ugly kid, they get spit on too?
Right. They get spat on by their mom and dad. Should we measure how large these loogies might be? Another thing they would do is actually dress their youngest male as a girl, so they wouldn't be stolen to be a mate for the fairy queen.
Baby drag?
Yeah, baby drag. Now, it could get a little sticky moving forward. You don't know when your child may or may not have been stolen. As I said in the beginning, they are a disguised fairy. So they look very similar to your child, but they may have different types of features. This child may suddenly start appearing sickly. They have a ferocious appetite. You know, did you ever see one of those little infants, all they want to do is suck on a bottle all day and scream and cry their heads off because they want more milk? Have you ever seen that before?
I think my son is a changeling.
Exactly. So these minor, tiny little things could set a parent off to thinking their child is a changeling when they misbehave at times and start getting a little wordy and act bad.
So now I'm getting worried.
He might be a changeling.
I'm getting a little nervous. I think I have to make a phone call.
Physical features. Maybe they have longer teeth, sharper teeth, a little bit of a beard.
Can a changeling hurt you?
Not really, because they want to pretend to be your child and stay there as long as they can until they're found out. So they want to be coddled by the parents. There are ways and methods you can use to try to get rid of them.
Other than spitting on them.
Right.
Gotcha.
One of the ways to defeat a changeling, should you realize your child is not your child, is to beat the baby really hard in hope that you're going to conjure up the fairies to come and rescue their fairy and put your human child back in place.
And if you're wrong, you're going to conjure up the police to remove you.
Well, even the police back then believed their children could be changelings. So there was no way to protect this child. They could just be beaten by mom and dad and say, oh, we thought he was a changeling. Sorry. Now, if you didn't choose to go by the way of beating, you could also leave your child alone in the woods to be eaten by wolves.
Like you do.
Yeah. You know, the hope is to conjure up the fairy to come and save their fairy. But in order to do that, they have to swap the human child in the place.
It's like kind of one for one.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sorry I didn't really
Okay.
make that point clear. But
Okay.
yes, if you were lucky enough to have been born into a peasant family, there might be more of a danger for you being accused as a changeling. Every family member was vital for the survival of the family, like what they were able to produce. If you were just a hungry, ravaging child that ate themselves out of house and home, that was a threat to the family. So they would have to get rid of you. Now, if you decided to not go as far as killing your baby to find out, you could just burn it with a red-hot poker.
Oh.
That wouldn't scar the child should it survive. Boil the baby in a soup pot.
Baby stew?
Yeah. Yummy.
Well, that was extremely disturbing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Excuse you.
That was a stool. No, not that stool.
Exactly.
I know. It was the stool I'm sitting.
Get away.
Everybody's heard the story of The legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman. In Irish folklore, they have something similar, but much, much, much creepier. What they have is a thing called a Dullahan. Now, a Dullahan can be a man or a woman, headless, but how would you know if it was a man or a woman?
True.
Because unlike the Headless Horseman, this one carries their disembodied head under their arm the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, so you just kind of look at that. But the face, it's not like a freshly decapitated face either. The face is usually wrinkled, rotted, with a smile cut from ear to ear.
Oh, pretty.
Yes,
So
it's very nice imagery. Yes, it all shriveled and rotty and maggoty and.
I think I can do commercials on TV as a Dullahan, maybe. Sell some oil of Olay and see if it actually works on the wrinkles.
If they shoot you from the neck down.
Okay.
Headless. They're seen riding a black steed. And unlike Headless Horseman, who carries an axe to chop off the heads of the victims, this one is known to carry a whip made out of a human spine. But he is also seen pulling a cart too. But the cart is decked out as well. Covering and the seats are human flesh dried and stretched out over it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
pretty
creepy. And the wheels of the cart are human bones as the spokes. These are ways that it's been described.
That's way of pimping your ride.
Yeah, seriously, that's what those are some sweet rims, man. What are they made of? Femur. The Dullahan is pretty much death. Whenever people see the Dullahan riding in, where it stops is where somebody is going to die. And if the Dullahan calls out your name, you're done.
Just like that. Well, at least it's quick. I mean, it's merciful, I suppose.
True. Well, the ways people die have been differently.
Oh, so
yeah.
It's not like just having a heart attack.
Yeah, sometimes it's drop dead, sometimes it's burst of flame, sometimes
Whoa.
I've heard different things. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure on the different ways, because a lot of people have told a lot of different stories. And
could it be something like your worst fear kind of death? Like if you're afraid of burning, you
That's
might burn,
a very good theory. That's a very good theory. I'm not going to say yes, that's it, but that is actually a very good theory on that one. Because also, not many people have seen the Dullahan and have lived to speak about it. Let's just say he likes to keep to himself and doesn't really like people watching him. If the Dullahan sees you looking at him, he's been known to lash out your eyes with that spine whip he has, leaving the person completely blind so they ain't seen anything else again. Or, if a Dullahan sees you looking at him, they will dump blood on you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
They won't have time to laugh at you. Because when if the Dullahan dumps blood on you, that signifies that you are the next to go. There is no way to kill the Dullahan, but there are ways to kind of protect yourself from the Dullahan.
Okay, tell me at least one.
The Dullahan hates gold.
Well, I have none of that.
If a Dullahan sees gold, it actually frightens him. And enough of gold will completely drive him away.
Does white gold count?
It doesn't say.
I have some of that. I just never liked yellow gold.
Yeah, I'm more of a white gold person myself.
Either silver or white gold.
Yeah.
So is that it on the Dullahan? Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to go too much. I don't want to lose my head over it.
Lose your hat over it?
Head.
Because he was wearing a hat. He forgot to wear it. So we couldn't just suddenly put it on halfway through the take.
I want to go get my hat right now.
He's gonna go get his hat. Go.
Excuse me, I'm going to get my hat.
Yeah.
Hat.
He just really wanted to wear it. Mm-hmm. So, and I wasn't willing to retake the first 10 takes again.
Yeah, exactly.
How's mine? Does it look all right? Is it in a weird angle or?
No. No, I think it's fine.
Is that better?
It's not sitting on a weird angle. I just think it's sitting on a weird head.
Hey! Anyway, so I'm gonna go next with the Banshee. The Banshee is the woman of the fairy mounds. Alright, and it's the female spirit, and she's usually known as the omen of death. Here's the confusing part. The Banshee can be seen as a beautiful young woman, a stately matron, or an ugly old hag. Yeah. So, good luck trying to decipher if it's really a Banshee or not.
You could be a Banshee.
I could. Because I'm a beautiful, young woman.
That's where I was going with that, really.
Yeah. She's usually seen in a gray or a white cloak with long hair. She's known to cry at night. So at night, she shrills and cries.
She like sad cry?
Like a wailing, I wouldn't say necessarily sad, but it's just like this screaming, wailing kind of cry. I wouldn't go for sad on that one.
Okay.
But once it's heard, someone in your family is gonna kick it. Not you, but someone in your family.
Oh, so if you hear it, you're okay.
You're okay. She's not gonna hurt you. She's not known to physically hurt anybody. But when she cries, someone in your family is about ready to kick it.
So I would say, what if you had your entire family with you and they all heard it?
Well, on rare occasion, it has been known for a friend to die.
Maybe a loved one?
It can't be friends. So yeah, maybe they love their friends.
So a loved one.
A loved one.
Okay.
Now, to make it even more confusing, the cry of the Banshee, if you want to try to decipher if it really is or not, can be heard in different ways. So one is like a shrill so loud that it could break glass. Another one is from the sound of boards clapping together. So imagine if, again, your child had that as a cry. How long would it last in your household? Would you take him out back?
How do you scream wood clacking?
Exactly. That echoey, like, dull whack. That's
strange.
The third way is, of course, by a beautiful angelic singing. So you pick which of the three you think your Banshee might sound like, and we'll go with that.
Interesting.
The Banshee is often seen combing her hair, and violently.
Typical woman.
As kids would walk around town, sometimes they would find a comb on the ground, as you do, because there's always combs thrown everywhere when you're outside walking, but they might pick this comb up. A child, they can't help playing with things. They might start breaking it in half, maybe put it in their mouths, chew on it, or simply take it home. Well, if they did that, the parents would freak the frig out and just say, "Get back out there! Put that comb right where you found it!" So as to not cause the Banshee to come looking for this comb in their home. Once it does that, it's near earshot. God forbid she screamed. One interesting story regarding that was a father, a son, and an uncle were coming home from a fair. And as they walked up the path, they saw a lady on the side combing her hair. And as the son walked by, he waved to her. No reaction whatsoever. The father walked by. Again, didn't pay him no mind. She's still combing her hair. Now the uncle, who was a bit of a trickster, came up behind her and ripped the comb right out of her hand. And she let out a wail like you had never heard before and scared the crap out of them, and they go shooting off down the path, going back to home. Well, when they arrived at the house, the woman of the home asked them what had happened. They explain the story and they all freak out because she looks down and looks into the uncle's hands and he's still holding the comb. She's like, "Give me that!" So she
dropped that thing in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he didn't realize, like, he still had it in his hand. He was so freaked out. So she runs and gets tongs and is like, give me that, from a
She
distance.
didn't want to touch it?
No, she didn't, nothing to do with it. Gripped it into the tongs, just walked over to the door, stuck the whole tongue out the door, and it was ripped right out of her hand. They close the door and go to sleep for the night. So the next morning, when they looked outside, there was no comb to be found, but there were the tongs, shaped in a nice little S-curve. And she had said, see, if I hadn't done that, that would have been your arm. But at least by offering to give it back, she did not cry and kill off the family.
For the last creature I'd like to speak about, I figure let's do something gross.
Yay!
All right,
I
kids.
like gore.
All right.
Come on, who's with me? Come on.
Oh, I didn't say gore. I said gross. What we have here is the Alp Lucra, commonly known as the joint eater. Mainly invisible. People don't see it, but when it does appear, it's very commonly described as like a small little newt, or small little lizard salamander type of
That's
thing.
not too gory so far.
No. Just stick around. Just stay with me here.
You didn't say gore. You said gross.
Oh yeah, gross.
Okay.
Yeah. So what this does is it'll look for somebody who is taking a nap near a stream or the wet grass.
Catching flies.
The Alp Lucra will find the person, walk up to them, climb into their mouths and down their throat,
So they catch a big fly.
and eat the food from their stomachs.
Hey, wait a second. That sounds like a good diet.
Just wait. So a very famous story about the Alp Lucra was about a farmer he was out working in the field and he got tired one day and, you know what, I'm gonna go take a nap down by the stream. When he woke up a couple hours later, he's like, man, I am hungry. Okay, so he goes back to his home and he starts eating something. It wasn't satisfying his hunger, and so he started eating a little more and more and more. Over the next couple days, weeks, to months, his hunger would get stronger and stronger, and he would be eating more and more, but he wasn't putting on any weight. And actually, he was losing weight. So he went to the local doctor. Doctor could not figure it out. He's like, you seem healthy. We don't know why you're losing all this weight. Well, one day, after about 6 months of this, the farmer met a man, and he told the story to him, and the man's like, I know what's wrong with you. First, get as much salted meat as possible. So the farmer and his wife, they got as much salted meat as they possibly could. The man said to him, eat, don't stop, and don't drink anything either. Just eat as much salted meat as you possibly could. The farmer was desperate. I'll do whatever you say. The man then said to him, okay, now come along with me. They took a walk and they went down to the stream. The man said to the farmer, get down on your knees, open your mouth.
Okay.
Phrasing! So the man, completely desperate again, sits there, opens his mouth, and all of a sudden from the pit of his stomach feels this really weird wiggling and churning. And all of a sudden he feels the feeling of something crawling up his esophagus, up his throat, onto his tongue, and then out his mouth.
Aw, gross.
And he sees it,
Ew.
and it looked like a fairly large newt. And
Exhausting.
once he got over the initial shock of, oh my god, that just crawled out of me, he turned to the man, oh, thank you so much. I don't know how I could have, what I could ever do to repay you. The man's like, we're not done. That was just one. Now we have to get its children out. In total, 12 of them came out to get to the water to drink. That was the whole point of the salted meat and not drinking anything. They were eating it, but they were getting so thirsty and dehydrated. When he opened his mouth, they were lured out by the water of the stream. Well, needless to say, that farmer never slept by the stream again.
Lesson learned.
So that was our take on some Irish folklore creatures.
So if you like what you saw, hit the like. Or if you have any questions, leave a comment.
We will get back to you. And please, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.
I'm Sheri.
And I'm Rob.
We're OutGhosted.